You check your phone again. No new messages. You tell yourself it doesn't matter. But somewhere in your chest, something tightens. That tightness is not in your imagination. It is one of the oldest alarm systems your body owns. You call it loneliness. Your ancestors called it a death sentence. For most of human history, being alone did not mean a quiet evening. It meant no one to watch your back while you slept, no one to help carry the injured, no one to share the kill or the harvest. Being cut off from the group was, quite literally, one of the most dangerous things that could happen to you, so your body built an alarm for it, a loud one, and that alarm is still ringing today, even though the danger looks completely different now. Here's where it gets strange. Your brain cannot always tell the difference between social threat and physical threat. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now-famous experiment where participants were excluded from a simple ball-tossing game while inside a brain scanner. Just a game. Nothing physical happened to them at all. But the brain scans showed something remarkable. The same regions that light up during physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex among them, lit up again during social rejection. Being left out doesn't just feel bad, your brain processes it like an injury. Think about that for a second. Getting ignored in a group chat and stubbing your toe are not supposed to be related, but to some part of your ancient nervous system, they use the same emergency line. Why would evolution build it that way? Because for a social species, exclusion was never just an emotional inconvenience, it was a survival crisis. Pain teaches you fast, and your ancestors needed to learn, fast, that drifting away from the group was as dangerous as touching fire. Now here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you. Loneliness doesn't just feel dangerous, it behaves like a disease. Psychologist John Cacioppo spent decades studying this, and he described loneliness as a biological signal, not unlike hunger or thirst. Hunger tells you your body needs food. Loneliness tells you your body needs connection. But Cacioppo's research went further. He found that chronic loneliness raises cortisol levels, disrupts sleep, weakens immune response, and keeps the body in a low-grade state of threat detection, as if it is perpetually scanning for danger that never quite arrives. Your body, in other words, treats prolonged isolation as an ongoing emergency, not a mood, an emergency. And the numbers back this up in a way that is hard to shrug off. A massive meta-analysis led by researcher Julian Holt-Lunstad, pulling together data from over 300,000 participants, found that weak social connections increase the risk of early death by an amount comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day, comparable to obesity, comparable to physical inactivity. Let that sit for a moment. Loneliness sitting in the same danger category as a pack-a-day habit. You don't think of a quiet Saturday alone as equivalent to lighting a cigarette, but your biology, over a long enough timeline, seems to disagree. So why would nature build something this extreme? The answer goes back further than you might expect, back before written history, back before agriculture, back to small bands of early humans moving across open landscapes with no walls and no weapons stronger than sharpened wood. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar has spent his career studying exactly this kind of ancestral social world. His research suggests that human brains evolved their large size largely to manage complex social relationships, not to solve math problems or build tools. Tracking who owes who a favor, remembering who can be trusted, knowing who has your back in a crisis. Dunbar proposed that the human brain is naturally wired to maintain meaningful relationships with around 150 people, a number now often called Dunbar's number. 150, not thousands of online followers, not an infinite scroll of strangers, a number small enough that everyone in it actually knows your face. For nearly the entirety of human existence, you lived inside a tight, visible, physically present group like that. If you got sick, someone noticed. If you didn't come back from foraging, someone came looking. Your safety was distributed across many watchful eyes, not held alone inside your own skull. Isolation, in that world, wasn't just sad. It was often fatal. Wander off from the group and you faced predators alone, injury alone, starvation alone. So the brain built the strongest possible incentive to avoid it. Pain. Not metaphorical pain. Literal, measurable, brain scan, visible pain. Which brings you back to your phone, to the empty inbox, to the quiet apartment. Your alarm system hasn't updated. It still fires exactly as hard as it did when isolation meant near certain death, even though today it might just mean a slow evening with no texts back. Your ancient brain doesn't know the difference between social distance and mortal danger. It just knows the sensor is going off, so it treats the moment with the same urgency your ancestors needed on the open savanna. Is that a flaw? Or is it just an alarm doing exactly the job it was built to do in a world it was never designed for? There's one more piece to this, and it might be the most important. Loneliness is not the same thing as being alone. The longest-running study on adult happiness in the world, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, has tracked hundreds of participants for over 80 years. Its longtime director, psychiatrist Robert Waldinger, has said the single clearest predictor of long-term health and happiness in the data isn't wealth, fame, or career achievement. It's the quality of a person's close relationships, not the number of friends, not the size of the group, the depth. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely unseen. You can be physically alone and still feel deeply connected through a phone call, a letter, a memory of someone who mattered. Your ancient alarm system isn't measuring how many bodies are in the room. It's measuring something closer to belonging, closer to being known. So what do you do with an alarm this old, this loud, and this easy to trigger in a world built for constant digital contact but starving for real connection? You don't ignore it, and you don't panic every time it fires. You listen to it the way you'd listen to hunger. Hunger doesn't mean you're dying, it means you need to eat. Loneliness doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means the oldest part of your brain is asking for exactly what it asked for 100,000 years ago. Someone to notice you, someone who would come looking. You check your phone one more time, still no new messages. But this time, you understand what that small tightness in your chest actually is. Not weakness, not failure, just an ancient signal, still working exactly as designed, reminding you that you were never built to survive this alone.